What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how wide receivers can become elite and play at that college level. So we're going to be giving you 3 specific things that we feel all wide receivers need to add to their game to be successful. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to improve your press release game and you want to learn 20 different press releases, when to use each one, and then drills to work on each one, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to a 50-minute long video where I explain 20 press releases, the different coverages you want to use those press releases against, and drills to improve them. So check out that very first link below if you guys are interested. Let's get started. So this first clip here is from Jackson Smith-Njigba, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, out of Ohio State. And this is a great over-the-shoulder catch where he's able to keep his feet in bounds. And we're going to talk about why this is important. So if you're getting recruited by, a college coach, you're trying to stand up to your high school coach, they are looking for receivers who can make big plays. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, whether that's being able to run an explosive route, catch the ball after, like a short route and go take it 30 more yards, or making a catch like this downfield. But there are some mechanical aspects to this that you guys have to think about while you're in practice so it could translate to a game. So this over-the-shoulder catch, especially with a helmet on, is something that a lot of people struggle with, right? And the one key that a coach would be looking for is how to have late hands. So that's what's the difference between like an elite wide receiver, maybe an average wide receiver. I see it all the time with, the camps that we do, training sessions that we do, whenever we work over the shoulder catches, and there's a guy out there who's, college guy, maybe he's got a couple offers. When he's catching that ball over the shoulder, it is as late as possible. It's a noticeable difference. But when you get a guy who's kind of on the beginner side of things, which is fine, everybody's at different spots of their game, they start showing their hands early. And the reason why that's important is because it lets the DB know when that ball is going to drop. So you're in man coverage, you're running a fade, you're running a corner, you got a DB right on your hip. We do not want to let him know when the ball is going to be thrown, because at the end of the day, he is playing you. He is not looking back for the ball because that's going to slow him down. And if that ball is leading you, he's going to be completely lost. So he is playing you. But when you don't show your hands early, when you trust your hands being late, he has no idea. So you see how this Njigba right here, when this receiver's running downfield or when this DB's running downfield with us, he's looking back for the ball. He has no idea when the ball's dropping because he's not showing his hands. Then he looks back to the man to try to play the man, and then his hands are late, and this DB has no time to react. Yes, that is put in a very good spot by the quarterback, but still, that DB would have more time to react to it if he were to be showing his hands right now. He is waiting till the last possible second, and his hands are late. That is the key, fellas. So when you're trying to work on that over-the-shoulder catch, you should always be practicing late hands. Something that I work with my wide receivers is what I'll have them do. Like if you want something you could do to work on this, is I would stand here, like maybe around where the quarterback is, like maybe a little bit closer, and I would throw them an over-the-shoulder ball. But as soon as they would start with their hands behind their back, I would throw the ball over the shoulder. And then when I say ball, that I usually call ball when it's on its way down, they have to clap their hands together twice behind their back and then catch the ball. So it forces them to be late automatically because you have to get those 2 claps in. So that's just something to think about, something you could do to work on this. But late hands, fellas, is a great way to stand out as a receiver and to become an elite wide receiver. It's more than just running great routes. Play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Njigba making that catch over that shoulder. All right, so second thing I want to cover here is you got to be able to keep your game simple. So it's heavily publicized. You see the receiver coaches and they put up all the, the bags, they put up the poles, and they're having guys do all this fancy crap, and they're just trying to look flashy for social media, right? At the end of the day, you got to be able to have a plan at the line. You got to be able to execute that plan, and you have to get some separation and finish the play. Name of the game, keep it simple. So when it comes to your routes, you don't have to do things overly complicated. Yes, you want to add some creative elements to it. Yes, you can, change tempo at times, but there are simple concepts that you need to emphasize that will get you open, and this is one of them. So this is Stephon Diggs running like kind of a bang 8 post against inside shade coverage where this DB's sitting maybe about 7 yards off. So this is a problem a lot of guys have. They're running a post right into where this DB is at. So how do I get separation? Let's play this full speed. So he goes right at the DB's outside shoulder. You see how he angles his stem, gets his hips to flip, and that is what allows him to win on this route. Because when this DB's inside shade, he's inside shade for a reason. If you're familiar with this page, you know that I say this all the time if you guys keep up with the videos. But it should be a second nature. That's why we review this stuff, so you guys can hear it over and over again so it's engraved into your brain. So when you go into a game situation, it's like, we're ready to roll. Let's go. So he's inside shade. A lot of people, they will say when this DB's inside shade, oh, just stem him. You should just stem. You should angle your stem inside and try to square him up, quote unquote. That means attack the midline of his body. But when you square him up, what do you think a good DB is probably going to do? Keep his leverage, because when he's inside leverage, his sole purpose is to force you outside. He wants to force you outside because that's where he maybe has help, or the sideline is his help. So he's not going to let you get the free inside release when he's lined up inside shade. So how we could get separation is we have to self-aid. We have to get him to open up those hips and bail out of there by attacking that outside shoulder. So that's exactly what Diggs does. Now, when we go at the outside shoulder, there's much more like, and this is like how we can kind of build off the technical side of things, right? So playing receiver, you got to know how to run routes. You got to know the technique behind it. You got to know the mechanics, but you also need to know when to do it. So this is when to do this stuff, but mechanically, we have to be able to sell vertical. And what goes into selling vertical? Your speed, your stride, your body language. Those are the three things that I love to emphasize. So you see how Diggs, when he goes at this outside shoulder, there's no indicator. He doesn't run up and then right before the break point, he starts to chop his stride, or he starts to slow down, or he starts to raise his chest up. If you do one of those three things, you're letting the DB know that a route is coming. But if you keep that same stride, if you keep that same speed and a good body language, what do you think he has to commit to? He has to commit to the fade. Because at the end of the day, if he's inside shade and he's in man, it's still man. And he does not want to get burned, and he does not want to get beat deep. That is textbook right there from Stephon Diggs. Play this thing again, full speed one more time. So fellas, inside shade, off man, you got to run a post. Do not try to square him up or stem him inside. DB will keep his leverage, and you will end up running that post in front of him and right into him. You have to, and again, more than one way to do it. Maybe you stem him at first, and then you go to the outside shoulder. But again, there are many different ways to run it, but that's the main concept you have to emphasize. Attacking the outside shoulder, kind of like a diamond release slant. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Diggs going at the outside shoulder, getting that DB to flip, and then winning on that post route. All right, so next thing I want to talk about here, to be an elite wide receiver, you have to be able to pair your releases and pair your routes together. So what does that exactly mean? Pairing. What do I mean by pairing releases? I mean that you want to make one release look exactly like another release. You want to make a release look like a specific route. You have to make your routes and releases look similar. That is how you get separation. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. DBs every single year. You see them coming out of high school, see them coming out of college like Stingley, Sauce Gardner. They're getting more and more talented, right? And they're smarter. DBs are smarter. They're good athletes. They're running 4.340s and they're smart. That's very, very tough to beat. But it's hard for them to prepare when you do maybe 5 or 6 different things and it all looks similar. Why do you think Devontae Adams gets so much separation? Keenan Allen. Why do you think those are considered some of the best route runners in the game? Because they all have things that they do, and it's similar in every single situation. So this is a clip here from Jerry Jeudy showing how you guys can pair something called a dive release with a drag route. So let's say you're a team that's maybe like mesh heavy. Let's say you run a lot of like mesh. If you guys don't know what mesh is where like you have the slot receivers, like I'll draw it up right here. Like let's say the outside receivers are here, and let's say these are the slot receivers, where the slot receivers run this drag concept, and then maybe we have like a post, a dig, whatever it is from the outside. But this would be considered the mesh. So maybe you run a lot of that. We love mesh against man coverage. So if you're a drag-heavy team, a dive release is something that you could add to your game. So that's what Jeudy does here. He pretty much just dives to the inside. I say it's off of 2 steps. I consider a dive release off of 2 steps. If you want to think of it in 3, that's fine by me. But he goes here, 1, 2. And you see how his hips and shoulders are committed. He's running full stride, running full speed. That's what gets the DB to commit. But it looks like that drag. Just like how you guys would do a diamond release slant. Let's say, for example, this DB, instead of being here, he's lined up inside shade pressed. You take 3 hard steps to the outside on a 45. He thinks fade because you're selling it, because your hips and shoulders are committed, because you're running hard, and then you could slip underneath and run a slant. It's about making your releases look the same, fellas. So that's what this dive release is. So in terms of mechanics of the dive release, what I teach is that you want to try to pivot off of your front foot, take the left across your body, and then break off of the right foot in this specific case. Some people like taking a little prep step with the front foot. Instead of pivoting like Jeudy does right here, they take like a small step and they consider that their first step. Then they step with the left. Then they step with the right, taking 3 steps. It really kind of depends on your comfort level, but I like the pivot and just crossing right into it. But it's 2 to 3 steps, 45, cross the DB's face. That's a dive release, but to be an elite wide receiver, you have to make sure that you are pairing your releases together with routes. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Judy selling that dive release, getting the DB to crash, and then winning on that out route. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, if you would like a 50-minute long video on 20 different press releases, when to use each press release, and then drills to work on each one, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.